What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Rainforest.
No one is safe from Captain Planet.
No hands. I'm making trees!
Savage.
And we're back with One Piece 1054. The drought is over. Oh, it feels good. It feels good. What even was this chapter? What was this? What was this? Luckily, I was unspoiled. This chapter was insane. 10 out of 10 is a understatement. Just like 1053. 1053 was amazing as well. You know, a Shanks chapter only comes every couple of years. An end of an arc chapter only comes every couple of years. We knew we were going to get bangers, but Oda came back swinging. And he also delivered the W's as well. Let's do the win counter. Greenbull Momonosuke said that. You know, there were people that were saying special Paramecia, Zoan. I was like, nah, Logia.
Another one.
Because that makes the final three admirals, Akainu, Kizaru, and Greenbull, because Fuji's going to turn, all Logia users. When Film Red was announced, I said, did Oda spoil us on the end of Wano? Is Shanks coming to Wano? Oda did spoil us. Shanks is in Wano. Prior to the release of this movie, which puts Shanks in or right at the end of Wano.
Another one.
Said it wouldn't make sense for Sabo to get captured and just retread the Ace business. Sabo is not going to get captured. Vivi is not going to get captured.
Another one.
Everything about the Reverie is one of the longest theories, one of the oldest theories on this channel, that Sabo would be framed.
Another one.
That Cobra would be the death that Big News Morgans was talking about. But we know that there was an assassination, that there was some sort of a death that happened, and then there was an attempted assassination. It's likely, very likely, that the assassination was Cobra.
Another one.
The thing that I wasn't expecting was that the attempted murder is actually Charlos. We're going to get into that. Now Sabo is the face of an entire revolution, the Flame Emperor. This is sensational. This is majestic. It's fantastic. Appreciations and salutations to Oda Sensei for this feast. Feed the streets, my man. Thank you. Okay, I'm excited for 1055. Let's get into everything here. One of the big questions is, what is Wano about? Wano is this gigantic setup arc. Is it to propel us to where we're going like most arcs are, or is it supposed to be a contained story about how these samurai learned to defend themselves? Where is Oda going with this Greenbull versus the Akazaya 9 segment? Now, the writer in me is expecting Oda to have Greenbull fold all of these people and move on to the Flower Capital.
Trees are still my jam.
But the interesting thing is having Yamato and Momonosuke here kind of muddies that up. If those two figures weren't here, it'd be a wrap. These guys aren't going to be able to hold this guy back. Shinobu should be able to be a counter to him, but Oda hasn't pulled that trump card yet. I would really love it if Greenbull does kill one of these people that are in this fight. My pick is Inuarashi. Have the kingdom of the minks ruled by one person. Nekomamushi, leader of the night, has to take over the day and see the dawn that the ruler of the day never gets to see. It's poetic. Wanted it to happen earlier in the arc, didn't happen. Still rooting for it.
Savage.
If it doesn't happen, hey, you know, whatever. I want Greenbull to be a menace. Maybe all of the admirals get a significant kill. Kainu took out Ace. Who will Greenbull get? King, Queen, Babanuki? Not significant enough. Sorry. Speaking of that, could Greenbull be the person who killed Cobra? That would be a significant amount of blood on his hands. But I do have a more interesting choice for Cobra's killer, which we'll get into later. Where was this Momonosuke during the battle on Onigashima? I love how he comes in with the Boro breath, but it's just a gag. You know, Oda's he's got to get that gag in there at some point. So I appreciate that. Yamato comes in with a clean hit. Also, Greenbull's in the trash can. He's right there with who's who right now. Are you serious? You serious right now? Oda keeps creating these cool characters and then just revealing their true nature. It's terrible. Maybe he really is the minority hunter's dad after all. Naturally, there's two ways this goes. These 8 individuals hold off Greenbull and make him run away. And then the story of Wano was how the samurai that couldn't defend their home against Kaido and Orochi finally defended their home against another antagonistic force. That I don't like. Could Oda do it? Sure. Not a fan of that. I want Greenbull to steamroll these guys, make it to the Flower Capital, and really, really do some damage. One of the interesting things about Greenbull's response to seeing Momonosuke's dragon form is thinking back to Dripper Scarfino and the rest of CP0 talking about Momo's fruit. How it was a failure. That scene seemed like it was basically out of nowhere, but I've been talking about how we need to get Momonosuke and Vegapunk in the same place. So does Greenbull capture Momonosuke and take him back to Vegapunk so that he can get experimented on? In Greenbull's introduction, he was talking about Vegapunk, so there's a definite connection between the two of them. We leave this scene and the first shot we get is the Red Force in the borders of Wano, outside, very close to the perimeter that the world government should have around the island. Now, Shanks being here is not that big of a surprise. It's a surprise in the fact that, okay, it actually happened, but just about every major character in the story has some tie here. Like if this ship was Blackbeard, if it was the Revolutionary Army, if it was Vegapunk, there's all foreshadowing for all of this. But Shanks knows Momonosuke, knows Hiyori, knew them when they were kids, knew Odin, sailed the seas with Odin. He may even know the secret entrance into Wano. And if he uses it, then that means that the Shanks is a rat theory is in the drain because he never told the world government that. They would know. I love this scene. From a nostalgic standpoint, from all of the references back to Chapter 1, getting to see young Who's Who by the way, kind of looks like Dellinger. Wouldn't it be really weird if Who's Who ended up being part fighting fish and said all of that stuff about fishmen? Anyway, getting sidetracked. I love the panel of Shanks and Luffy just sitting by the sunset and holding the hat, and just like, there's all of this feel-good nature here, right? And then you juxtapose that with Shanks saying, all right, it's time to get the One Piece, which a lot of people are looking towards in a ominous lens. There's been theories since the beginning of time that Shanks is going to be evil. I don't think so. I think that Shanks, like most characters in One Piece, is after the right thing, or maybe even the wrong way. He has an ulterior motive, and that motive is Luffy. He is using Luffy for a plan that has to do with Roger, has to do with Rayleigh, has to do with himself, has to do with that fruit, has to do with that hat, has to do with the One Piece, has to do with what they saw at Laugh Tale. And Luffy, and maybe even the Nika form right now, is key to that. But he needed Luffy to mature, grow, and get to the point that he is now. So Shanks is going to start moving those pieces and getting them into play. The problem with this scene is that nothing really new is added. Everything that's talked about in this is things that have been told to us before. And while this chapter is a 10 out of 10, everything here is telling and not showing. And that is a major writing flaw. We already know that Kid and Shanks had a battle, so we're reminded of that. We already know that Bartolomeo burnt Shanks' flag in the Decks of the World cover story. So Shanks bringing that up is only letting us know that he knows about it, which of course he was going to find out. And now Shanks' territory is being claimed by Luffy. We already know that Usopp is Yasopp's son, But this was the most Usopp Yasopp has ever looked. This man had I don't want to see my son disease. We already know that he stormed the government ship for the Goma Goma no Mi. We're just seeing a panel of it. We already know that Shanks lost his arm. Nothing here is new. It's just catching the readers up to speed, reminding them about things. Anybody that really dissects it, like most of the people that are watching this video, that are in the streams every week, that, are on Twitter and just eat, live, breathe One Piece, we all know this. Someone not paying attention to the cover story may be looking at the Bartolomeo scene, segment as like new information. But all this is really telling us is that Shanks is after the One Piece, which could be inferred by the title of the story, Shanks giving Luffy the hat and everything falling into place. It's just now being vocalized that Shanks actively actually wants it. But it also seems like he's about to pull a Zunisha and just back out of Wano. What's the point? To sell film red tickets.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
The same week that the premiere happens in Japan, the early screening, not the actual, wide release, Shanks is in the chapter. Of course. Now, if Shanks is to meet with Luffy prior to the actual, wide release in Japan, then Luffy and Shanks can actually meet in the film. But like I've been saying, and apparently there are spoilers out as well, I'm trying to stay away from them. Luffy and Shanks shouldn't meet in the film. I've been saying this since day one. If anything, it'll be a scene where one of them sees the back of another one, but they're not going to interact before they actually interact in the manga. It's blasphemous. It would be one of the worst writing things Oda, has ever done or allowed. So it's not going to happen. Any interactions will be in flashbacks. I also really love the subtlety of the panel of Ben Beckman just looking at Shanks when he, he's like, "Hey, Beck, it's about to be that time," right? And we don't even see Ben Beckman's mouth. We just see his eyes, and they're kind of frowed. And they're saying a lot without him saying anything at all. And Oda's doing his classic thing where he takes the background out and just has little particles flying. And that's Oda's way of telling you this is important. And I can't wait to get more context on this to maybe even dissect exactly what Ben Beckman is thinking in this moment. But it's a heavy look. Then we get the third and final scene of the chapter. Like, seriously, this felt like 3 chapters in one. This was the best scene. That's also Vivi bias. Vivi's certainly my number 1 female in the series, but depending on what day you ask me, my favorite character in the entire series. We get a panel of Vivi, not actually in the story, but she's there. That's my goat. But the unfortunate thing about this is that this is another instance of telling and not showing. Instead of going into a flashback and showing the scene and the anguish of Nefertari Cobra dying and all of this, what happened with Vivi, we are getting a account secondhand from people that actually weren't even involved in it. Kizaru wasn't there, Akainu wasn't there, this new character, Kurouma, wasn't there. It was Ryukyu and Fujitora that were trying to defend Marijoa. So we don't know if this is a game of telephone and we're actually getting the truth or not, but either way, this is the first time in the entire chapter that we are getting positive, definitive information. Cobra is dead. Now this was to be expected. Yes, I theorized it well over 2 years ago. Plenty of people did. The seeds were there. You go back to when they're sailing in the ship to go to the Reverie, he's in a wheelchair. He's sick. Everything that happened in Alabasta, Crocodile, nailing him to a wall, the ruins falling on top of him, like, it was over for Cobra. So it's time for the 13th ruler of the Alabasta Kingdom to rise, Vivi. Although Vivi ultimately will be the person who unites the world as far as I see, once we get to the end game, we topple the world government. There was an attempted murder on Charlos. What does this mean? Are they also referring to that same incident in 905, 906, 907, where Charlos was trying to take ownership of Shirahoshi and Vivi got in the way of that, and then Mjosgard came in and Charlos with the club, like, do they consider that an extreme version of attempted murder? I mean, like, in their warped minds, I could see that. But then it says that Sabo and the Revolutionary Army were actively attacking the homes of celestial dragons. So did they attack the home of Saint Charlos, right? Charlos's dad was the one riding Kuma, the one that owns Kuma. That is the exact property that Sabo and the Revolutionary Army would be attacking. So there could be a whole bunch of scenarios that could spawn from this. They were attacking Charlos, something happened, Cobra ended up getting hit, things, I don't know. There's so much, and you know, it may even take a different video to really dive into all of the possible scenarios. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So be on the lookout for an entirely Vivi and Reverie focused video. But either way, now Sabo is being touted as this godlike figure in the same way that Luffy is being touted as this godlike figure. Dragon was trying to do things from the shadows in the same way that I feel like Garp is also trying to do things from the shadows with Sword. But now, here's Sabo coming out into the light, Luffy's in the light, facing against the world government. There is someone for these people to rally in name of. Does Sabo want this? Maybe. I mean, that kind of seems what the Revolutionary Army is all about. Give the power back to the people, right? A country is its people. Word to Cobra. Bello Betty, whole power is about rallying people. In the end game of this story, we're probably going to have all of these people that we're seeing in that very last page going up against New Marineford, Marijoa, for their rights back. Forget all of these like tributes and everything that have to happen every month. That's not what we're doing here. Okay, what Arlong was doing to the people of Kokoyashi Village, the Celestial Dragons are doing to everybody. Arlong was just trying to get a piece of the pie. I'm not an Arlong defender. One of the interesting things here are the flags that we can see. One is the world government symbol with an arrow through it. Another one is the Revolutionary Army symbol. Another one is the Shimotsuki Village symbol. What does that mean? During the ASL flashback, we had a scene where Dragon was at Shimotsuki Village. But what do they have to do with the Revolutionary Army? The Revolutionary Army's ties to Wano could not get deeper. But at the same time, they're after all of these weapons that they found in Dressrosa, and they couldn't pinpoint everything back to Wano, where the Drunken Iron Ore is manufactured. But they're connected to Wano in all these different ways. They really should have been a part of Wano. Nonetheless, we need answers here. In the same way that Oda hid that little panel of Sabo to get us ready for this chapter, Oda is also leaving this little Shimotsuki Village flag, and I can't imagine he's going to answer that in the next chapter, but we do need an answer. Speaking of the next chapter, where do we go from here? We need an update on the Warlord system. Who's captured? Who's not? You know, I believe Hancock was captured. What's up with Mihawk? What's up with Buggy? What's up with Garp, Kobe? We need an update on these characters. It's all going to be dependent on whether Oda wants the Greenbull stuff to be more pressing than learning about what's going on in the world. Greenbull continues to talk about how everything is so messed up in the world. And then we cut to different things that are happening outside of the world. Since we ended with New Marineford and, learning about things going on, I think we should start 1055 continuing with that before we go back to Wano. Let's stick with this. Oda, continue the bangers. Give us this news. What's up with Bonnie? She had to have played a role too, but she's completely missing from any accounts. So was her power used at some point? Stop telling things and show it to us. I already know that the Revolutionary Army fought Ryukyugu and Fujitora. Show me the fight. Show me what happened, Oda. I'm dying here. Even when you tell and don't show, it's a 10 out of 10. But when you show instead of, show and tell, oh God, that's when it's a 1,000,000 out of 10. I can't wait. And that's going to do it for this week, guys. Look out for probably another video on this topic, going even more deep into, Reverie events. Certainly I have a video coming out about Gear 5 Luffy's actual colors, which have been revealed. I've already shot it, partly edited, wanted to get it out before the chapter came out. Probably come out next week. I also want to thank all of the members, everybody that supports the channel. Appreciate you guys. Everybody that stayed with us through the Theory for Theories, at the Reverie, everything like that. We had a lot of fun. Shout out to Sebastian Wagner, Chris Reams, and Waza Coco for joining. Shooter Ali, Jay Armstrong, Chin Ho Wong, my guy, DJ BJ32 for rejoining. Rainder for joining. Emmanuel Blue, Francisco Butte for rejoining, Dawn Knight 1993 for joining, Caleb Brown for joining, DJ Red Comet 369, Mr. Luciano for rejoining, Nicolo Ice T for joining, Lucky Man for rejoining, and Doggy D Floofy for joining. Appreciation to all of you guys. We had to catch up on it's been a month, so we got a lot of names there. And that's going to do it. Like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe.
Fuck it.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.